Right.
Nah. No, never mind the engine. It was just too deep even for the engine. Bishop h4. So apparently this is the move. E4.
E4.
You could make an argument for knight g3. That's the other thing. Knight g3 to stop e4, and then I'll probably have d5. Yeah.
Right.
So one of the things, I think I was looking at it a move ago, so that over here you guys kept going to a5, but there is a, you know, well, a case to be made for knight c2. Well, maybe not h6, because now I cannot safely play knight g6. To go knight e7, knight g6, and sometimes they would do this.
Yeah.
And there was Fischer's game against Spassky, right?
Yeah.
Where he put the knight on g6, and then eventually still won the c4 corner. Some 30 moves of maneuvering
by Boris in that game. But yeah, this was again a game I played with Lajos Bordas where my knight swung to e7. Let's take a look at Gukesh's game.
Can we quickly do a deeper dive in the game that we kind of neglected? Jan Nepomniachtchi against Wesley So. And one of the reasons why
Gukesh's game.
Can we quickly do a deeper dive in the game that we kind of neglected? Jan Nepomniachtchi against Wesley So. And one of the reasons why
Gukesh's game.
Kingside quickly do a deeper dive in the game that we kind of neglected. Jan Nepomniachtchi against Wesley So. And one of the reasons why Kingside quickly do a deeper dive in the
Cristian from Bucharest, and Giri was also having difficulty translating Gary's position because it is very, very Christian from Bucharest and unusual. I have not seen his pawn on h5 nicely on this outpost Christian from Bucharest. It's white having Burl, white having double c pawn, black having the excellent outpost by pawn. Bishop e3, bishop e5, g2, g4, and for me, I'm having great difficulty. I had good fight for it. Bishop is understanding this fine, g2, g4, and for me, this is where we have issues with the board. The g2, g4, and you know, on the one hand, I'm sitting there saying, I understand that the white has a grip on the queen side, but the combination of g4 and the queen side grip, I don't see how they work together.
Well, that's interesting because, okay, according to my counting,
Sure, please.
no, okay, the material of E4,
I don't
right?
see how, yes.
Yes, the E5 pawn. Yeah, there's
Your
no...
maths
You know, my maths,
are good.
sometimes, yes.
Right. But in this particular case, and are we back in business?
Yes, we're back in business.
Please take it away. But for me, the move g4 gives me... I don't like my setup with my bishop on d5. I would much rather have my knight on d5. I would love to play the move bishop f3 and knight on f6 to d5. So for me, the move g2, g4
Doesn't make sense.
doesn't make sense.
Well, again, yeah, computer's not very happy with white's position, so it was around equal here, and after g4 it actually starts favoring black, yes.
Okay.
But on a sort of understanding level, the way I see it, that black wants to exchange the bishops.
Okay.
And you perhaps do not want to do it. So you go g4, and then you pray for some sort of repetition. I don't know, or put the bishop on g2.
Okay.
Right. However, after bishop f3, Yasser's move, very clever move, then knight d5 happens and so on. One of the things computer does, and now it stands at the first line, to go bishop g2 yourself to ask to start begging to exchange the bishop. Because the bishop on f3 all of a sudden is very, very annoying. It covers d1. And so, yeah, so, well, as much as we were talking about Jan's deep preparation, I think he's kind of lost control of the position. So it's certainly not the preparation, and I don't think he enjoys the way the position shapes up.
And talking about preparation, we did see that Nodirbek did just unleash some preparation against MVL. That game was very, very sharp, and let's revisit it because, again, looking at the evaluation bar, it looks like white is in big trouble. it
Oh,
is.
really? How about that? So this is from the Najdorf with Queen G3. Gary was very, very intrigued by this position. Queen C8, he approved, if you will. Rook A3, again, a typical Najdorf move. You want to shift the queen. The queen is eyeballing the pawn on G3. Maybe on a good day you could go H4, H3. You do have dreams of the long diagonal. And after the move H5, H4,
Now,
E5. So let's see what the big difference is. The knight came back to F3. You start to understand Rook A3, so that the knight on C3 was protected. Miro was showing one line, that was before the queen moved, by the way, that you could recapture on A4 with the knight. Knight F3, bishop takes E4. This was something I wanted to do, and the computer kept laughing at me. Knight to G5, and we're up to date. Join the conversation, Miro. Was it correct then to finally take the pawn on E4?
yeah, I mean,
I've been
it's not a
wanting to
calm
do
position.
it, but I could never do it.
I was going to ask whether we should just throw the evaluation bar out of the window, because on a practical level, the position remains incredibly sharp.
It is incredibly sharp. So this was a very, very interesting moment. I wonder if we could figure out, maybe later on, if Rook A3 was still preparation or not, because it is a very clever move. MVL has played H5, which is, the idea of it is very much understandable. You want to disturb the queen, it goes away from the G file, so you can finally play Bishop E7 and castle, right? And Nodirbek decided to stop H4 with his H2, H4. However, computer was recommending bishop to G5 with the same idea. H4 will just capture, and then in this line it's not as attractive for black because we can go to F5. Now Yasser's favorite move, takes E4, takes E4, bishop E4, but computer claims very serious compensation for the pawn. Well, it's two pawns at the moment. Well, A4 perhaps will drop anytime soon. Better for white despite material deficit. Not much better, but fractions of a pawn. After H4 and E5, again, according to this machine that we have, knight G6 was, knight F5 was a better move. G6, knight E3 leads to more or less the same. Black captures the second pawn, white tries to exchange the light square bishops, go to D5 perhaps, plays for the compensation. And knight F3, again, severely criticized by the machine. Bishop E4, knight to G5, bishop C6 is, again, the best move, computer claims. Having it as -1, well, stating the obvious, black is a pawn up, which indeed he is. But as Jovi said, yeah, if you look at the position, black still has some tasks to accomplish.
Right.
It has to castle.
And talking about mistakes, well, we do have a graph for that, because let's take a look at the player mistake rates before move 40. We also have one after move 40. And here you can see Wesley So with 1.98%. He is, look at that, not making too many mistakes. And take a look
just
at...
give me the database. How many games is this based on? It's classical chess, right?
It's 3 years of Grand Chess Tour classical events. That's what the data is on. And if the player doesn't have enough data, having not played,
then had to go outside.
Exactly, he had to look at their tournament
And I
performances.
think it's also 1,200 games.
Right, pay
1,200
attention
moves,
to
sorry.
Fabiano Caruana. He's just got a mistake rate of 2.23%. Now, after move 40,
As you would
look
expect.
at what happens here.
Bobby's, that's
has
crazy.
gone up to
He's the number 3.
2 mistakes, yeah.
Number 3 rated player in the
Look at
world.
Prague, look at the Prague. After move 40, no
Playing
mistakes
nearly
whatsoever.
perfect. What is this? Wesley and Prague play nearly mistake-free chess? That's crazy.
And for me, Wesley is very consistent, doesn't tend to often. But then this perhaps indicates that he's not prepared to take risks.
I'm just thinking about the game between Fabi, where he was white, Wesley was black. Fabi had this great big advantage, but then we jokingly said amongst ourselves 3 bad moves in a row by Fabi, and Wesley saved the game. That's a shocking grasp, because again, Fabi was the number 2 rated player in the world. He's the number 3 rated player in the world. I didn't expect to see mistakes. So many mistakes. I thought he would be like Prague, one of the least error-free players. Stunning.
Yeah, completely. Because I agree with you. Fabi definitely gives off the impression of being very, very precise.
Flawless.
Exactly. He's fantastic at calculations, but I tell you, players are good though. Let's not let the stats take away from that.
That is for sure. Bishop c6, you're saying to us that MVL is better. Again, we'll leave that alone because I really did want to get around to some of the games. We haven't seen too many. Alireza, this was this ending between Alireza and Gukesh. The last moves were knight d4, gift me your pawn. And, you always expect that your opponent will be responding to your threats, like, defend the darn pawn. He put your rook on e8. These players you have your agenda.
I have mine,
Exactly.
and it makes sense, right? You're bringing the knight into the game, and the important thing to remember is that the pawn on c7 is also covered as well.
Exactly.
So you could go on the counter, the knight takes pawn.
Well, let's take a look. So we go knight takes. Would you include the trade of rooks? Because you could go rook takes. Let's just see
Let's
this one.
just see, and
Rook
then
take.
we can compare.
Yeah, because in this case, I'm not going to blunder an exchange, right? So here, you explain very nicely that the knight on d5 defends c7, but I have the intermezzo here,
Right, and this is where we can go rook take knight.
Rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes, and
Are we
we
fizzling?
agreed in the
into a draw?
halving of a halving of the grandmastership, shall we? I gotcha. So that is one way that the game may finish. Jump in on this one, Amiro. It looks like a balanced position, I'd say.
Absolutely. Yes, not much to be done.
No, okay.
Not much to be done, really. And I think the line you were showing is one of the top lines of the computers.
Very, very straightforward.
Rook f to d1, some sophisticated way to continue. Knight e3, then you go rook e1.
Very
And then if knight goes back, you
Now you
take,
take.
and actually you are marginally better here. Okay. So perhaps the task is to keep both pairs of rooks on the board. However, now black starts doing the tricky things. So he goes c5, attacks the knight, and if you take on e6, he goes knight c2. Yeah, so the knight from d4 no longer goes c2. And again, we have some rook endgame, which ends up as being a draw.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to jump to Prague versus Anish. And again, in that stat that you just showed us, Prague is playing, I don't want to say flawless chess because that's absolutely impossible, but he's one of the most mistake-free players on the tour.
I mean, when you look at it before move 40, I have to say though, when it comes to the stats before move 40, Prague at 2.94%, which is ridiculously low in my opinion,
Crazy.
right?
Of course.
He's still actually one of the higher ones.
Wow.
Yeah, but his accuracy after move 40 certainly improves because his mistake rate is only 2.3%.
Again, that's just
And this is where everyone else starts to go wrong, which suggests that it's an issue of endurance.
Well, but think about how many threats, how many plans, things that you've had to overcome, right? All of the false paths, the false leads. That rate of accuracy is just mind-bogglingly good. Wanted to say about the Prague Anish game, we did see this ideas of knight e4, but remember Jovi, we had kept our queen on d8, and there was the move e4. Anish very cleverly, before he played the move b6, first played the move queen e. He got white to play b2, b3, so we don't have to worry about b4. And now, in this case, Anish, didn't have to suffer the consequences of b4. I'm assuming we want to block, although, am I worried about bishop takes f6? No, I can't be worried about bishop. I assume you want to block the diagonal with the move knight f6, knight e5. This really does look balanced to me. As soon as we start attacking, as soon as we start trading rooks along the d file, I think the balance won't be disturbed. I did want to get around the horn here. What else have we missed? Are we going back to the Fabi game again? And let me just refresh my board, because we did see the move after b7, b6, we did see the move e4 as we expected, and we were looking at a variation where we were taking everything off the board. Something like c takes, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop g5 was one move, and your chicken move, but a good move, bishop b2, recovering the pawn, I think is the way it would go.
In this version, when the knights are not on the board, that's a better move.
Yes.
Win back your pawn,
Win back
and
the pawn.
e4 is on the board already.
It is.
And I'm thinking, I don't really like when Andrew says that takes on d4, whatever. I'm thinking, can black really keep, say, the pieces the way, or the center rather, the way it is locked?
Yeah, for instance, let's have a look at the traditional Nimzo plan, which is to ignore white's attack and go bishop a6, knight a5. Let's just go greedy.
Yeah, but then bishop g5.
But let's show why it's so dangerous for black.
It's not dangerous here because h6 it says. And say I don't quite get it. G5. No, this computer is very, very optimistic, I have to say, because seeing something like this.
Well, Gary and Cristian were looking at bishop f2, knight
bishop
h5.
f2, knight h5, which is
stop the knight.
Okay, maybe we have to highlight why knight h5, why it's such a strange idea, because say knight a5 following the plan, then knight g3 and f5 is such a crazy good square for the knight that computer, first of all, it says white is almost a pawn up,
right,
and then it reacts with bishop to c8. There is no way you take on c4. Knight f5 will be devastating. Right, but the idea of going knight h5 actually seems to be absolutely valid. Yes, because there is no easy way of kicking away this knight. Knight g3, of course, black will happily trade and then pick up the pawn on c4. Right. It's such a complex strategic position. You know.
Yes, and definitely as black, you also have to be monitoring all the time for this potential opening up of the center. And so we do have some moves.
The trade has happened, and now bishop b2, knight d7, bishop d4, and we'll be back to the position we were discussing with Yasser like an hour and a half ago. Knight c5, bishop e2.
But hang on a second.
But now f6.
Fabi hasn't committed to bishop e2.
Well, the knight
He
hasn't
did not.
committed to d7.
He did not. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So he can try. He can try to play this one. e4. He can try to go bishop g5, but once again, without the knights on the board, it's somehow less efficient. So it goes here.
And if you go bishop e2, this is what I would...
Bishop e2 and to take with the queen.
Yes.
Right?
This is
okay. Fine. You know what? You are running into a bit of a tactic. So h6, and then say if the bishop goes here, I don't quite get it. I thought it was let's go g5, bishop
d5.
There is a funny move d5, right? Because of this pin and this pin, right? And let's say if you take cd5, bishop e2, queen e2, and knight d5. I'm not sure how good it is. It likes it for black. Computer likes it for black.
Very double-edged, right?
Well, there's a
because
puzzle
knight
rush
f4 is
tactic.
happening.
Bishop takes d4.
Knight f4 and queen takes d4, right?
So I would still stick to,
It's
let's
safe.
play the position with even number of pawns.
It's safe,
Yeah.
safe
You're
and
not
solid.
forced to sacrifice.
Again, what's intriguing for me is the wild card matchup of Daniel Deac versus our number 3, almost number 2 player in the world. That they've drawn all their games. That's the remarkable thing. You would expect that Fabi,
Throw in a win somewhere, but I mean, it just goes to
Right.
show actually the difference between a 2800 and Bogdan Daniel, who's close to 2700, is win somewhere, but I mean, small margins.
Yeah, what accounts for that differential? So we do have classical Nimzo. We'll keep an eye on that one. And where would you like to take this? I think we've
I think
managed
we have to go to
get
the
through it all.
sharpest game
NVL?
of all. Yeah,
Okay.
Nodirbek against MVL.
Let's see where the players have left. We left it after bishop takes e4, knight to g5, bishop to c6. MVL's enjoying a 2-pawn advantage at the moment. White has secured, can I put it like that? He has knight on g5. What have you got? Well, now it's only a 1-pawn advantage. Knight takes a4, bishop e7, and MVL, I think, is just thinking, I can exit, whenever I want, and maybe I'm not too anxious to go over there immediately. First played the move rook b8, and Mira, I want you to jump in on this one. First of all, when we left it, the computer liked MVL.